Alrighty. Ooh, wait, hold on. I can't hear myself. Just a minute. Let's see if there we go. Now I can hear myself. Okay. Let's get this show on the road. Hello, everybody. So, I recorded some stuff into Morphogene, or at least a little tiny bit of stuff. I recorded just a guitar sample into Morphogene so that we can mess around with it this time around. What I did manage to get was Morphogene running in volt per octave mode, which is actually pretty cool for sampling. So it sounds like this. Let me just get a keyboard. So that was just a single sampled C, but now I can play it with Morphogene at least. And I thought I would mess around with seeing what happens when we put a pattern through on this and mess with gene size and morph and all that sort of fun stuff. See where that takes us. Also, if anyone knows, it's been interesting. I was looking at my disting and trying to get it to do recordings, the other audio recordings that we were trying to do last time, and it's very strange because I can see the audio levels going into disting, but when you look at the recorded file after it's done, it's always 0 kilobytes and completely empty / corrupted. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I need to look into that more, but if anyone else has heard of that problem, do let me know. Oops, I realized this is too low. There we go. Okay, so I had a pattern going. Let's just put that back in. A minute. With, of course, some reverb, because, you know, I might slow this down, though. The 8th triplets, yeah. Okay, so I was just curious because I have not messed around with this, what will happen if we start changing gene size and morph and slide and all that sort of stuff with this? That gets interesting. I wonder why it repeats twice, even though we're only triggering the play once, but... Slide, I don't think is going to do much for us here because we stop and just play the and even turn off the reverb. The sample itself is already pretty long. I let it ring out for a while to see what we could do with that, but I don't think slide is going to do much there. Well, it sort of acts as a filter in a way because it's taking off the initial attack. What about morph? I don't know that morph will do anything simply because we're hitting play. Well, it does pitch it at least. It's interesting. interesting enough. It repeats when the incoming gate is longer than Morphogene's gate. Same with, okay. Well, that makes sense. And hi, Inverted Popes. Good to see you. I'll shove this through a delay. A delay, I don't think. Let's see what we got. It's Handy Modes app, which I noticed has not actually been updated for the most recent Disting Mark IV firmware, which is kind of annoying, but oh, that's piss shift delay. We don't really want piss shift delay. Let's just do a simple dual delay. What maximum time? That's got a bit crush on, but okay. Let's put some variation into this pattern. Hi, Ken. Good to see you again. Let's add some... You know, let's use a modulation track this time, rather than adding chants. Transpose, octave, what should we use? Rate, direction, start, no. Maybe transpose. Let's see. This is probably going to need to be triplets, though, in rate. Otherwise, I don't think it will actually land. Okay, half triplets. That sounds good. I guess we really want minors more like it, so... Although this is all, I think, quantized anyway, but... Thanks, Inverted Popes. I'm gonna make a knock-knock... What's a knock-knock song? We'll do the second modulation track. I've never tried modulating direction. What in the world does that do? Oh, it's just like forwards, back. Okay. What did that do? Doesn't really seem to have actually modulated the direction as far as I can see. It's still... on the right. Oops. F triplets, yeah. What about rate? Make this like something crazy and see if it's really noticeable. Oh, weird. Yeah, okay, that works. Ah, cool. That's too bad. If I was around for that, I would watch, but, you know, being that it's Christmas, or leading up to Christmas, so many other obligations right now, but I'll watch it afterwards if it's recorded for sure. Okay, so that modulation worked, but I'm curious as to why the direction modulation didn't work. Oh, I bet you maybe I need to have multiple steps where it goes backwards. Yeah, that seems to be doing. See what it did here. Oh yeah. That's pretty cool. I didn't know you could actually make it do that and just randomly go backwards in a section for a little while. I don't think I want it going backwards for quite that long. Maybe we have it random for a step. No, random's too random. It needs to stick with the pattern to some degree. Okay, then we could add some more chance stuff in here, maybe. Let's see, what could we do? I don't want to mess with the pattern too much, and maybe we'll add some accents into this. Maybe I'll throw this through a filter in a minute, but ratcheting's going to sound kind of weird in this sense, I think. Could try doing a tie. Let's tie a few notes together and see. Some amount of chance. Let's just give it a 100% chance so we can hear it first. Actually, you know, ties aren't really going to be useful with Morphogene because we're not really triggering it, so to speak. So there's no, like, yeah, that's not going to work. Pitching. Skip to a specific step. I don't know, let's try ratcheting. I have no idea what that'll sound like. I don't think Morphogene can catch up with it. Alright, thanks Inverted Popes. Have a good one. Screw ratcheting. That's not also good either. How about just muting? These all just some random small chance to mute. Don't want it quite to be that big a chance. Okay, that's interesting and varied enough, but maybe not two notes in a row. So there's always going to be, just one gap at most, because otherwise it sounds kind of empty. There's like big pauses that I don't like. Okay, so I was thinking perhaps let's try running this through a filter and maybe controlling the filter with velocity. I'm going to use a filter on disting. What a state variable filter. It's D4. Comes in on X. That's a big stretch. It's gonna have to do. And filter output. Actually kind of nice in the background. Alright, let's leave that in there. And then I thought we'd do some playing with Telharmonic today, because we haven't really touched that very much on these streams. And I'm also needing to decide whether or not I want to keep the Telharmonic for that exact reason, that I find myself using it less and less these days. Your local pusher just made a black marbles. Oh, was it one of the small, like the mini marbles or whatever they're called? I'm gonna put this in Telharmonic in its shift register mode because it's quite interesting sounding that way. Yeah, Morphogene is really interesting. I mean, I'm not really using it in a particularly Morphogene-y way right now. I'm kind of using it as what I want, which is an assimilator, and I have my fingers crossed that when Boxing Day comes around, because at least here in Canada they have massive sales on Boxing Day, that someone will have the assimilator on sale, and then I will be buying it, because I think Morphogene is great when I want to do granular stuff and really mangle the sound, but what I also want is just like a controllable sample player with some other interesting options in it. So full-size marbles, that's all. So just the panel must have been interesting then. I don't think I've ever seen that. I've seen the mini marbles with the black panels, but never a full-size one. Okay, so let's see. In order to get the analog shift register mode on Telharmonic going, which is basically Telharmonic has 3 voices, and when you put it in the shift register mode, those 3 voices rotate basically, and so it will pick a note based on what you put into degree, and picks the note when you trigger D-gate, and it basically puts that into the first position on the register, and the last position falls out, so you kind of get this constantly rotating pattern that's in tune. So let's just put some randomness into here. Not quite like white noise random. Should be getting... Oh, we got a sample here, so that should work. And we don't really want to trigger it from there. I'll just trigger it from marbles for now so that we can hear something. Now I'll mute that other channel. It's going to be a little harsh for a moment, but this sort of lets you maybe hear there's sort of a 3-voice chord going on, but it's constantly rotating. Thing I need to do is get the manual to remember exactly how you set degree and interval, because that don't think degree, but interval determines what chords are actually being played. And then tonic is how you set the root note. So I will, in a second here, I'll send, since we're just working in A minor again, because that's always the easiest one to work in, I'll send an A into it so it sets the root at A. Alright, where is that section in the manual? Yeah, there it is. Interval determines which notes may be accessed. So from fully counterclockwise, it's a suspended chord, then a minor, then a major, then octaves and fifths, chromatic, and octaves only. So this would be a suspended chord. I don't know, I might like that better than the minor, because this be a minor triad now. The other thing, of course, we can do is sequence the interval, so we can go back and forth between rotating suspended chord notes in and rotating minor triad notes in, which might be interesting. Let's start with this, and let's get an A going into that. I'll just use part 3, and we'll clear it, and the length of 1 with single gate that just sends an A pitch. Maybe not that high, but let's see. Definitely not that high. How does this get along with the other sound we were making? That's what I'm curious about. I think they're going to have too much overlap right now. Slash this is just too loud. We'll go a pitch higher, or an octave higher. That might get us out of the bass range so that we don't muddy things up. It might work better for me to invert these and have the Telharmonic be the bass, or not the bass as in like the sort of pad droney thing in the background, and then redo that thing from the Morphogene to be more in the foreground. Because otherwise they're serving the same purposes and they're just gonna clash with each other. So if I take this off, I don't think I can go quite as low as A1 here. He's picking notes that are almost out of audible range, so. Okay. Let's start. Trying to see if it's going to be worthwhile modulating. centroid at all here. A little bit. There's a little bit of range in there. That sounds good. But flux. A little bit. Okay. Before we do that, though, let's shove this in a delay. That always makes things sound better. Maybe I'll modulate the delay a little more thoroughly this time, too. Because I've kind of been like, oh, this is silly. Why are you only using Rainmaker as a set delay? You might as well have a guitar pedal. Okay. What do we have this set up as right now? Lots of weird levels in here. Let's just move the balance around and give this some stereo width. Maybe reverse things. Yeah, sort of like low brass, yeah. Especially when you start, maybe not so much the centroid, but the flex starts adding a little bit of it. Especially there. Thinking I'm gonna have like either a slow LFO on centroid that might be maybe through a VCA with some randomness to it. Same thing maybe in flux. I don't want it to be a pattern thing, but it's nice to have this sort of swell every once in a while on centroid. Again though, I'm getting those clicks out of the reverser on Rainmaker. I wonder if, I think I gotta read the manual again and see if there's a way to like put an envelope on that or something like that, because it does not sound very nice. Okay, so just gonna listen to it wet for a sec. Where's our feedback coming from? Oh, it's only feedback's only tap 4. That doesn't help. Clear the buffer. Let's try something else that I haven't. Oh, well, we should clock this too, I guess. Although we're really being clocked by marbles at the moment, so which is fine, I suppose. If I under some cables. Just modifying now the grid size, which basically determines how far out each of these taps is from the original signal. So it's on 4 per beat usually. So like if I put something in tap 4, I would have a delayed signal that comes a beat later. Now switch it to 6 per beat. So I guess you could do triplets in that case maybe. I haven't tried messing with stack, but BPM's really 37. Oops, sorry, knocked the camera again. Yeah, I don't even know how you pronounce that. I saw that the oct. The 8 drifting LFOs off 1 rate sort of reminds me of like a quadrature sort of mode from Batumi or from the original firmware on Ornament and Crime. But of course, his module is much, much, much smaller. So yeah, that will be interesting when that comes around. Yeah, I've been looking a lot actually at the endorphins modules that got brought out recently. The Milky Way and the Godspeed, and what's the other one? The Squawk Dirty to me. They look like really, really full-featured FX and filters and stuff like that in like 6 or 8 HP. I might be using those to fill in some space here because I think I am in need of more. Once I get an assimilator, which is going to be my last voice, and I won't add anything else after that, the best I'd do is maybe replace the Telharmonic, maybe. Then I need more filters and I need more effects, I think. Well, and of course the TET when it finally comes out in Canada. Yeah, that's what I hear. It has some, and from the YouTube videos I saw, very interesting reverb on it, and I mean lots of different algorithms for other stuff too, which is kind of like, because I want to replace this Black Hole DSP as well, because it's not syncable to clock, which is kind of a pain, and it's huge. So, but yeah, the one thing I realized with the TET is apparently it has been delivered to all the US dealers already from a Canadian company that's in Canada. That's a half-hour plane flight from me. I'm like, and they don't have it yet. IntelliGel, of course, delivers to their dealers first, but they haven't delivered it to any Canadian dealers yet. So being a Canadian company, Canadians get their stuff last. Unhappy about that. But as soon as I get it, I will definitely do a stream on it because there's not much content out about it yet, and it looks like it's going to be pretty amazing. I'm especially looking forward to the voltage banks and slewing between voltage banks. I think that's going to make some very interesting patterns. Okay. I sort of like this pitch shift. Hang on. Sort of in tune. Messing with the comb a little bit now. I didn't even realize this was turned on. Oh, actually, it's not because... Oh, no, it is. Comb's on 7. So... I'm not sure... I'm not quite sure where that interesting, like... rhythmic sound is coming out of. I don't think it's the comb though, which is interesting. Hello Jajora and Crafty Kaiju. I'm mostly just messing around with Morphogene and Telharmonic today. So I've got, thank you for the follow, Vengeful Immortal. If you've got anything you'd like me to do, let me know. But so I have the Telharmonic here set up in analog shift register mode. That's what you're hearing right now. Going through Rainmaker with some weird pitch shifting going on. And I'm trying to determine if it's just the detuning or what that's causing the pitch shift to be all like wobbly sounding. It's kind of cool. Yeah, and then I have some other stuff running through the Morphogene with guitar samples that I'm going to add in later, but I decided that the Telharmonic's shift register made a better bass / pad kind of thing for all this. So Telharmonic is this guy right here. Oh crap, I just touched tonic. Alright, I knocked it out of tune a little bit, but anyway. It's this guy here. So Telharmonic is a really weird module from Make Noise. It's got 3 voices at the same time, and it kind of allows you to play chords in a sort of musical way. The analog shift register means that I've got a value going into degree down on the bottom here, and a value going into D gate. Basically makes it so you've got 3 notes. It'll pick a note based on the value that you're sending into degree, and it'll pick that note every time you trigger D gate, and it sort of rotates all the notes through registers. So if you had, C, A, and B or whatever, the next note that gets generated starts at the top, and the bottom note gets knocked off. So you get this kind of constantly morphing in tune thing. And then with interval, you get to choose which notes are available. So like right now we're in, it can only choose suspended chord notes, but if we move, now it can only choose minor or triad notes or things like that. So it is pretty useful. I honestly find that I only really use it in analog shift register mode. Sequencing it to actually do chords is really difficult, and I'm kind of debating whether I want to hold on to this. I'm not sure. It is unique, so that's cool, but yeah. Yeah, so right now, for instance, I'm sending an A into the tonic here. So the tonic sets the root note that you're working from, and then since I have the interval set in this analog shift register mode, since the interval is set on suspended chords only, you're basically just going to get a whole bunch of notes that would be in a suspended chord of A in this case. And then with degree, I could move degree, and that will, or change the attenuverter, and that will change the range of notes if you wanted to be able to pick way up. Yeah, all the damn time knocking ourselves out of tune. It's true. But I think I got it close enough. All right, so I want to see what is with this pitch shift thing being so funny. I wonder. Set that back, and maybe I can set it more accurately. Clear the buffer because it's got. Actually sounds worse, if anything, than the manual pitch shift tuning I did there, which is weird. What about what if we go up a fifth? Figure this out again. A bit like having all your tuning pegs on your guitar fingerboard. Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, to do a progression, yeah, that's when you're running, when you're outside of analog shift register mode, or if you wanted to which I probably will do here shortly, because I think it sounds nice to go back and forth between the suspended chord and the minor chord. But yeah, in the normal mode that this runs in, I believe that degree actually chooses the degree of the chord in the scale, right? So you need to sequence that and make sure that you're skipping over the chords you don't want that are in the scale, and then interval selects the inversion or a bunch of other stuff for it, I believe. Like I said, I don't use it very often, so. Not a huge fan of that either. It was so much better when I just did it myself. It's so weird that it goes all wonky. Yes, it is very complicated, the Telharmonic. It's not. I also think that I don't know enough music theory to be able to do it. So, just a sec here. I feel like my mic is beginning to clip a little bit. Anyway. Hi, Techno Bear. Good to see you. All right, so this is sort of interesting, but let's do what I was said I was gonna do, which was to modulate Centroid a little bit, because if we add in a little bit of swells, it sounds kind of cool. So in order to do that, let's take an LFO. We'll just take one from stages, maybe. Let's put it through a VCA. Because, no, Centroid does have a attenuverter, which is good. But I also don't want just a straight up sine wave or whatever. This is already adding some more interesting things to it. Late is totally fine. We are just making a sort of pad out of Telharmonic, and then we're going to put some, hopefully put some guitar stuff from Morphogene on top of it. So let's change this VCA with what? I don't know. Let's do it with another LFO. That should cause something interesting to happen, I think. Let's put it in a scope and just see what it looks like. Scope here. Too close. Let's make it more obvious. Wow, yeah, that makes some interestingness. I definitely don't think we want anything that fast. This is sending a ramp into it now. I don't think I want that either. Just sort of making a gradually ascending and descending sine wave. Alright, let's see what that sounds like. Ah, that's too fast. Too fast. Watching the scope here to see what this sort of looks like. It's sort of like a slightly modified sine wave. Okay. We can go with that. Now, Flux is the one that has no attenuverter of its own. So this is going to have to go through our own attenuverter because what I found was turning Flux down has just a little bit of buzziness. So we'll put this through here, but what are we going to send into it? We could just pick a... Well, we don't really want it to go in time with the... Well, maybe we want it to go in time with the note changes. I don't know. Let's see. So we need this to be bipolar so that we can send out negative voltage, because that's what we want. too much negative voltage, obviously. Oh, you know what? Right, it's not negative voltage, it's actually, this is determining the value of flux, so... Oh. This might be harder, actually. So what we really want it to do is basically be at 50% minus a little bit. How could we go about doing that? Someone who wants to get into Eurorack, would you recommend getting the cheapest case you can find, the most expensive case you can afford, or the biggest case you think you might use? Oh, yeah, that's a never-ending question. I think right now you might want to hold off a bit just because Behringer is about to release a bunch of like 208 HP cases that are going to be super cheap. They're kind of disrupting the market in the synth place right now, and I think they're actually supposed to be bringing out a bunch of ultra cheap Eurorack modules too. But yeah, I would suggest generally getting not necessarily the most expensive case, but the biggest case that you could afford, because well, and taking into account things like, do you need it to be portable and stuff like that, because rapidly you start running out of room. Like even now I have the rest of my case planned out and I'm like, oh, I wish I could find a way to fit another case because I don't have any more room for the things I want to do. And yeah, I think the Behringer case is going to be a really good entry point. I personally started with the one from Arturia, the one that has the 204 or 284 HP rows in it or whatever it was. I don't remember. Yeah, the happy ending kit's always a good option. It just depends on what you have available and level of portability and that sort of stuff that you want. I chose these IntelliGel cases because they are the portability is great, and I like the 1U row and that sort of stuff. So they are a good choice for that. And IntelliGel also has a much cheaper version of these full 7U cases. Yes, the Rack Brute. That's the one, the Rack Brute. Yeah. IntelliGel has their pallet cases now that have like you can buy a hard plastic case for and stuff like that. So, and they have like a 1U row plus another row of a lot of like utility stuff that you're gonna need, like a buffered multiple and like a way to send out to 1/4-inch jacks and power entry and things like that. So that might be another possibility, but I mean, in Canadian dollars, I think that IntelliGel pallet is like still 400 something bucks. I don't know. It's funny because I think Behringer is doing right by the community in general, because like there's no reason these cases should be that much money. Like the IntelliGel cases are like 800-900 Canadian dollars. It's ridiculous. It's basically a hunk of metal. Like, oh, they're shallow. Okay, that's good to know. I had not seen one of them in person to be able to say that, so that's Shallowness, by the way, for anyone who hasn't been involved in Eurorack, can be a problem with some modules. I wonder if we switch to the front view, if you can see. Yeah, you see back here all the stacked circuit boards. On some modules, those circuit boards, there's like 8 of them stacked on top of each other. It's crazy. Like for instance, if you got the Magneto from Strymon, it's huge. It sticks way out from the front of the panel here. So yeah, you have to be careful about that. The difference between a buffered mult and using a stackable cable comes in when you're sending signals that you need to maintain their voltage. Yeah. It is like an unbuffered mult, so exactly. So you wouldn't want to send CV values for notes through an unbuffered mult, or audio through an unbuffered mult, or things like that, because it won't quite be the same on all the outputs. Okay, so flux. How do we get this to be at a 50% value, but change slightly? If we took If we go out of the attenuator, it puts out constant voltage. So if I put it in unipolar mode at 50% and plug this in, it ought to stay the same. Not quite, okay. So I'm just gonna go into dry mode for a minute so I can hear this better. Weird. Oh, I bet you it's adding it to this value soon. Interesting. This is not doing what I would expect. Maybe I'm not... Well, unipolar mode is supposed to be a full +5, but maybe this... It's one of the things with Eurorack is you have to look at the manuals to see what sort of voltage each one of these inputs takes, because if this is taking a +5, I think this flux must be taking in a 10 volt input, because if I go all the way up on this, which I think is a 5 volt input, I seem to get approximately half, which is really not particularly helpful here, so. Yes, there is something sitarish about those harmonics. You really want to hear sitarish stuff, put it into rings. I think one of the alternative modes in rings is actually a sitar or something like that. Yeah, it would be nice if there was a standard. I mean, usually it's either +5, -5, or just 5 or 10, so at least there's only 3 things it can be, but like, at least we're not dealing with the whole like volt per octave versus hertz per volt or whatever the hell it is that goes on with choruses. Oh, is it really? Yeah, well, that would make sense, I guess. Given that they don't have an attenuator, I guess you maybe want more range. So given that this is probably 10 volts, what about if I use a value on tetrapad, actually, from one of the voltage sliders? Let's see if we can... I don't know what tetrapad outputs, actually, so... No, it's definitely 5 volts as well. Alright, so we might not get to do what I want to do with flux. The centroid already sounded pretty good. Let's clear this out again. Okay, so I liked what we were starting with here. Let's leave it at that for now. Although, actually, no. Let's do the interval too, because we wanted to sequence the interval to go back and forth between this guy, the suspended chord, and the minor chord. The 4MS DLD versus the Chrono Orb. I have not used either of them, but I've heard good things about both. Admittedly, I've heard more good things about the Chrono Blob, and it also seems to be harder to get, which usually, I don't know, I often go, judge how much people like modules and how popular they are and how good they are based on how many of them I ever see up for trade on any given sites, and I don't think I've ever seen a Chrono Blob V2, ever. So... Okay, so let's sequence this interval thing. If we want to do that, we probably need something along the lines of maybe stages in its sort of sequencing mode here. So we need a gate set up to switch between the two of them. We want a really slow gate, so for now I'm just going to trigger it manually so that we can make sure this functions before we put it together. So we need one voltage value that's quite high, or or not quite high, but higher. Ooh, I need a longer cable too. Okay, let's turn both of these down to start. We'll start with this one. This one should be as low as possible so that it's in the suspended chord, and this one needs to go up so we hit the minor chord, hopefully. Oh wait, I need to change the attenuverter to go up. Whoa, why is it? Oh, I plugged into the wrong thing. Whoops, that would make more sense. Okay, so just a little bit of voltage. Wait, there we go. Now we're in the minor thing. So now we should be able to... I was mentioning earlier, consider looking at the Milky Way by Endorphins. It just came out. I'm really interested in it because it's like 8 HP and has all sorts of really interesting different delay, reverb, and etc. effects albums. So, or not albums, algorithms. Think that I'm gonna get one at some point here, along with their filter that's called Squawk Dirty to me. It's like 8 HP and has multiple different filter modes and all sorts of cool stuff. So yeah, you did the pledge on the E520. Oh man, like that thing looks incredible, like almost to the level of that Japanese computer thing. Whatever the hell it's called. It looks like it's going to be super powerful, but yeah, like I'm pretty sure it would take up almost a whole row of this that I have right now, which is really not helpful. I'm trying to stick to these two cases because when I go on flights and stuff like that, these are carry-on. I can take one, my wife can take one, and we're good. But I usually do have room for one other small thing, so actually, if anyone knows of like a 104 HP one row with a lid or something that makes it a little more secure setup, that would be interesting. Because then I could move all of my sequencing and stuff like that. Eventually, this whole row is going to be basically sequencing and control. I'm going to get a TET. I'm going to get a planar. Move it off to another rack. That would be interesting. No, she does not do Eurorack at all, but she's my scapegoat while we travel through airports. So that I don't have to check bags, because I don't think I would ever trust checking this stuff. Control case, okay. Google that. Like, oh, you like, wait, which one are you talking about? Yeah, you gotta tell me because I'm not seeing it on Google. Alright. So we set this up now that we can go, and I realize I had the wrong camera angle, but if you look, basically we've got two things on stages, two different sequenced values. We're gating it, I'm just gating it from TetraPad. One value ends up setting the degree to the suspended chord. The other value ends up setting the degree to the minor chord. This is why I want TET, because to be able to sequence voltage values like this, more than just these couple that we have, or 6 that you can do max on stages, would be really nice. So now we just need to figure out what to gate this from. I'm thinking maybe no, because we're not really using the vector quite yet. I suppose we could have it be on the alternate, might be a little too fast. We could have it on the other output from marbles. Oh. Feels too fast. I'm surprised it's choosing notes that often. Oh yes, a case for controlling my stuff. Yes, yes. I think that would be useful, but I need to find one, like I said, that has a lid so that I can put it in a backpack or things like that. And yes, I have gotten, every single time I've gone through airport security with this, with these two, I get some sort of thing. I leave them unpatched, and I like keep a couple of, I keep a power brick and a couple of like cables with me just in case they want me to prove that it does what I say it does. No one's ever asked me for that, but they always ask me what it is. And actually the last time I went through an airport, I got asked to take all of the modules out. And I was like, I literally can't do that. I don't have a screwdriver and I'm not going to do that. And they were fine. So, but I mean, this is also Canadian airport authorities. It's not like TSA. So we're a little more relaxed here. You would have killed them. Okay, so I don't want a gate that's that fast. How about we'll just do a really simple thing here. We'll take the gate that we already had out of marbles, we'll shove it into Shifty, and we'll put Shifty on 4 voice mode, and that way we'll only ever get the 4th gate of that comes through there. That's a little better. Yeah, not literally, I get it. The other thing that I'm trying to consider, because I had some trade offers for it recently, is doing some more guitar pedals, because there's some really amazing guitar effects pedals out there that don't really have a Eurorack equivalent, and like, but I got to figure out how I would make like some sort of compact thing where I can reroute all of the pedals to each other very easily and like have it all be in one box that can like be in a case, and I gotta figure that out at some point. But yeah, I use this method of with Shifty a lot to just kind of slow things down. I find to actually use it more often than doing this sort of like splitting of voices or things like that. But yeah. Okay, so let's do what we started this whole thing with, which was using morphogene. Had a pattern running. In order to do that, we're going to need 2 clock marbles here from vectors, so my goodness. I gotta find a better solution for this webcam. I keep smacking into it. You can get pedal or MIDI boxes that can reroute. Like, so I could take all of my pedals, plug them into this box, and then like via a MIDI signal or something like that, control how it's routed. K5, okay. Oh, I see. That could be interesting, because then I can send MIDI out of the vector sequencer to actually control the routing between effects. That would be really cool. Okay. I'll bookmark this. Have a look at that later, because that could be really handy. Because yeah, I'm thinking what I'll do, because so with these IntelliGel cases, I have one. This bottom one is the old style IntelliGel case. That's you can't really see them, but there's 2 different styles of the audio outputs that they put into these cases. The old style like only really works with the line in line out modules, but the new style that they have is modular. So you can actually set up the 2 ins and the 2 outs as 2 sets of pedal in and out like returns. So that's what I'm thinking of doing, is getting 2 of the pedal IO modules so that I can do in and out on the pedals, have 2 different ways of sending them out, and then if I can put them into something that has multiple ways of reorganizing everything, and that would be pretty cool. Did you all find that you needed to attenuate because I tried, like I have one pedal here that I've used a lot, which is the Super Ego, which is really interesting for guitar because it makes your guitar into a synth essentially, and has some interesting stuff on what actual synth sounds too. But I could mostly send like full modular signal into this, and it doesn't distort or anything like that. But I've heard that lots of people have troubles with that with other modules, so I'm thinking that I do need something that will do the attenuation for me, but I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, you use the pedal IO on you? Okay. Yeah. Alright, so let's get this Morphogene going now. Let's just see what we've got actually sounds like first. Sounds a little too much is what it sounds like. Just gonna have a listen to it on its own for a minute. As quad outs would be interesting. Like, what even supports quadraphonic audio output? Like, I mean, does Spotify support that? Does like YouTube support that? Like, or is it all just you kind of have to listen to it yourself? Yeah, all about game staging. I'm sure you're right there. So by the way, this sound right now is a guitar sample. I just recorded a C into Morphogene basically, and I got Morphogene running in volt per octave mode. That's what's playing this right now. So that's part 1 on here that we have running. I'm gonna generate a new pattern for this. Did I put something in the modulation track? Oh yeah, I did, that's right. Okay. Let's, okay, we're in Acid 3 mode, so it'll just generate pitches and stuff. Running in volt per octave mode, like, so when you're modulating varispeed, it becomes quantized, right? That's the main thing you miss, and I don't think it does the like the sort of tape style speed up, slow down sounds when you're running it in volt per octave mode. So interesting, Kaiju. That would be yeah, I mean, live performance other than what we're doing right now, I don't really do. This is about the extent of my ability to get up in front of people. But that would be really cool. Do you know of anyone who's been actually doing that, like in the Eurorack space? I'd be interested. I mean, I guess you can't really hear it because no one can really record it and have it played back in any way. Yeah, I guess that would be hard. Okay. So this sounded weird. Alongside this. Yeah, something sounds out of tune there. Let's make sure that this actually sounds like it's, or, well, let's do a tuner, because this should be a pretty solid C note, hopefully. Make sure that it's actually in tune the way I think it is. Go turn this. Oops. Put this in the right one, whichever it is, if I remember. Use input, yeah. Why don't I hear you? See you, rather. If the output's not loud enough. Let's use the distance tuner instead. Where's the tuner? 5. G, supposedly. Interesting. It might not be in tune as I think. Buchla stuff is like, take Eurorack, multiply it by 5. I suppose that makes sense that it would be a little bit lower stress. But I don't know, I'm not very good at like improvising on the fly, so I don't know. Maybe I'll give it a shot one day, but I'm not there yet. Okay, so this is apparently not in tune. It's a C-ish. That looks more like it might be in tune now. Let's have a listen here. Oh, why is it all distorted? What is going on? I'm listening to the wrong output. The tuner has a through mode, doesn't it? That was pretty cool sounding, but... Oh yeah, that was a sine wave at tracked pitch. Okay. That was interesting. See, this is the thing about the volt per octave mode. Watch as I actually go up the scale. If I don't have the varispeed set properly, it doesn't actually like track volt per octave. You have to almost. Weird. I don't know why. Oh, it's octave shifting because of morph, of course. Although I wonder if it's keeping this in the key of A minor. But even if it is, it should just be all the white notes anyway. So turn off that morph for a second. Definitely there's a minor note in there. Thought I had this tuned. I recorded it just as a C, and that was about as in tune as I could get it according to my little piezo tuner, so let's hope. That would be funny, though. Oh, how am I sending voltage on vector? So, you go into record mode in Vector, you can change the mode here to through and use the virtual keyboard. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't really use the other through modes because on Vector you can't record like you can on like Digitact or things like that where it's like sort of unquantized whenever you do it. It's just like stepwise recording is all you can really do. So see. I don't know how much you actually need. That sounds like half notes. Way up. That's way weird. Man, I thought I had this tuned like super easily. It sounded totally like we were in a C scale, but like almost just that note's off. I've been trying to do some classical covers. It'd be useful to twist your parts in. Yeah, makes sense. All right, it's sort of close. Let's just see what it sounds like. Maybe we'll get something interesting out of it. I don't know. God, I think that sounds worse, if anything. Man. This is harder than I would have thought to get this thing to tune into volt per octave. Man, I thought that I had it, but apparently not. Poor cable, I know. Actually, I do have one longer one. Longer than that, even. There we go. A little more relaxed. Oh. Those are showing as a little bit sharp, but that's about as close as I think we've gotten. If it's a little bit sharp, can I just turn this down slightly? Yeah, it's a little closer. All right, let's see how this goes. Now you can relax. What I really need to do actually is set up this Octolink. I keep forgetting to use it. It makes it much easier. It requires more cables, but then I could send things into here, have it go over RJ45 up to here, and stress less cables. But I need more cables in general. So okay, so that appears to be sounding okay now. He says as it sounds not okay. Let's try a different sequence. Maybe. Nope. And this is why I wanted a simulator, because I can just play things volt per octave and it tracks volt per octave. End of story. Not really what Morphogene's made for. So let's ditch this idea. And let's instead do what Morphogene's really kind of made for, which is mangling stuff and making it granular and all that kind of junk. This to be Endorphins Autopilot. I don't think I know that one. Let's see. Let's see. Tune your oscillators instantly. Just apply the autopilot in between the pitch CV and apply the reference wave. Play an A note from your sequencer or CV keyboard. Now single tap on the button tunes your oscillator to the closest A note. What? How does it do that? Sounded right, a reference wave from your oscillator. This is weird. I don't know why this. I might have hit the record at some point. It didn't originally have that second part in the precision adder. Yeah, I'm seeing that. That's interesting. I mean, that would work great on oscillators where you've got a good reference wave to come out of, but that would like probably kind of not work for nano rings or things like that. Have I ever considered doing an open mic, one case pre-patched in a DI box, tweak for 10 minutes? You know, I haven't. No, I have not considered that at all. I'm not really hugely involved in the synth space here in the city that I live in. It's very heavily like house music focused and whatnot, but yeah, it could be interesting. I'd have to like design something and know what I can tweak with it to see where that goes. And these days I don't keep anything around for long enough to be able to do that, but that might be interesting. If I did a few streams where we're building on a sort of live set show, that could be cool. Yeah, maybe I'll try it. Cool. No, that sounds good, Jar. Alright, so how can we mangle this up a little bit? I think we can still maybe trigger the play from a block of some kind. Let's see what we've got for clocks set up here. This might even actually be getting lost in that sweet pad from Telharmonic. If I turn off the pitch shifting, it's a bit better. We are covering too much frequency range with that. I still have this in reverse mode because it's... No, I was going to say it sounded like it was reversing something. In your area, it's more about minimal and ambient and generative. Wow. Yeah, that's cool. I wish. It's very... I don't know. My city is very, very... I don't know. Young people focused, and I feel like ambient is not really that kind of thing. Oh, Seattle. Yeah, no kidding. I intend to move out that direction towards the West Coast at some point where, yes, I understand it is much more like that. Hurtful Vibes, thank you for the follow. If there's anything you'd like to see me do here, do let me know. If we have any questions, I'm always open to them. Okay, so I was going to trigger this from a clock instead to get, or maybe just send a clock into it. Where's my external outs so I know what we're doing? Okay, Trig 3 has 8 notes coming out of it, so sure. Maybe we will use play instead. You see why Hippie would do well there. This is sounding better, but let's put some delay on it. Oops, and knock everything around while I'm at it. It's a short one. Too loud to start, guaranteed. Maybe a different reverb or delay. Not that one. Too loud. Let's look at the algorithms again. Tap delay has been good. That was something I intended on doing the other year, similar to sort of what Annie does, is going out in nature and using a power bank to power everything and playing stuff. I might still consider doing it. I don't know why I didn't do it last summer. And of course I'm not going to do it right now because it's way too damn cold out. Yes. Yeah, the Scion would be interesting. I've always been curious about that module. For those of you that don't know, it's basically a module that you're supposed to hook up, connect to a plant, and that plant gets hooked into the module, and then that generates random CV values. It's weird. Just gonna mess around with some morphogene values for a bit and see. I actually kind of like that. Especially with modulating slide. It's kind of nice. Okay, so in that case, let's try the... No, I don't want a bipolar value. Well, let's just take another LFO from stages. We want this to go negative on the slide. Might actually be a little more useful for this just to be a random gate more than anything else. So we really don't want it to sort of spend a long amount of time necessarily, I guess. I don't know, random gate could work. Get better at crafting LFOs, because what I want is, I want sort of a sine-ish shape LFO, but I want it to go more rapidly through the positive values. So knock you out of tune, yeah. So how would I go about doing that? I want an LFO that essentially speeds up. Oh, because there's another CV on stages, actually, the time and level, which can make it go faster. So if I like do 2 LFOs and patch them into each other, let's see what it looks like on the scope again. So if I patch the output from this LFO into the time and level, yeah, that sort of makes the bouncing ball effect kind of thing. Just sort of the idea of what I want, but I don't want the LFO itself to speed up. I just want it to like to be slower and then faster and faster and then slower, so a sharper peak on the LFO. Yeah, temperature's now the bane of my existence. Probably. I haven't touched the CSL yet today, but yeah, I'm sure it's out of tune by now. Alright, do any of you have any suggestions? If I want an LFO, so normal LFO or like a sine LFO is like this, right? If I want an LFO that goes slower and then peaks quickly and then slower and peaks quickly, what would I do to make that? Oh, then I suppose maybe a rotating envelope? I don't think I have enough room on stages to do that, though. Maybe it needs to go through VCA. I suppose that could work if the VCA was at a very low value until this LFO is at a high value, and then the VCA goes high. That might work. So this goes into a V. We'll just test this. You know, I was going to trade for a ZR, but I want an assimilator too badly to do that right now. So if I watch the scope and try to do this manually, I can keep the output value quite low to start. As it comes back up, you go way up and then way down again. Like rink. Yeah, so then but then what sort of voltage do I throw into the CV to do that? I guess maybe a gate, but trying to time all that is going to be crazy. Layered samples, like you can layer 2 different envelopes together or something? the same note multiple times so it doesn't sound robotic. Wait, are you talking about you're talking about the assimilator? That's what you're talking about, or are you talking about the Zadar? And Jajor is very right. It does never end. Like, I used to have a whole bunch of just hardware synth stuff, and as soon as I got into Eurorack, all the other hardware synth stuff just went away. Yeah, well, if you don't want it to end, and you don't mind possibly being bankrupt, or have very, very good control of your money, that was what I would advise. The simulator, yes. So that the layered samples thing should be interesting. That's a good point. Then you can get it slightly out of tune, right? And then I'm really interested. I saw a stream the other day from State Azure about now it has a like a live looping thing or something like that you can do with it, where you can have you can control how long it takes before the extra layers you've put on top like fade out. So that would be really interesting. So I just tried putting the Morphogenes stuff through the pre-fader reverb just to see how that sounds, and I think that I like it. Maybe not. Might need a little bit. Yeah, that's a bit better. You do want to stay married, yes. It all depends, right? Like, if you buy a good set of modules that can do a lot at the beginning, and you really dive into them and really learn how to patch them, and you can stay away from gear acquisition syndrome, like, you can still do quite a lot. Just like, if you're doing it that way, I wouldn't buy anything that's like that does one thing and one thing only necessarily. Like a Disting Mark IV is like one of the best modules to start with, I think, because there's about 5 billion things it can do, and you'll need all of them at some point or another. And yes, State Azure is amazing. I am very jealous of his ability to put together stuff that sounds fantastic all the time. Alright, so I like where this patch was going, so let's put some plats in there. We'll use the part one that we had going on here already. Good on octaves, so yeah, why are we almost unhearable? Yeah, he does. That's true about spending a week or so on a patch. Yeah. You know, the SMR, the Spectral Multiband Resonator, I've heard mixed things about. Like, it is cool, but I've heard that, like, you get one sound out of it, and that's kind of it. But I don't know. I've never used it myself, so. But I am jealous, Mr. Basic. If I got no gas, that would be amazing, because the number of times that I've gone through and been like, I could just get rid of everything I have and get all this new stuff, and that has happened 2 or 3 times. Now I'm like a bit more confident because I know what I want and what I need more so, but you know. I just need to adjust. There's lots of ties, that's why this is which works better with the triggers there. Yeah, that does sound like the way to go. I never seem to have the patience for that. Don't mind me, I'm just gonna mess with things and see what I can find that might be interesting. Maybe. I'm gonna say I've never tried. Well, I'll do drums. Really a drummy sounding song. I don't know that I want that. It'd be better suited for rings. I'm gonna set this up in that whole triggered by an external trigger thing. What shall we trigger it from? There's some outputs on Morphogene, like the end of splice gate. I think that's pretty constant right now, though. Let's just look. Yeah, it is pretty constant because of the play setup that we have going. I'm trying to think. We could do the gates out of Telharmonic. So Telharmonic sends let's see it sends a gate out every time the degree changes. I think so. Might be too fast. Too fast. What else interesting could we plug in here as a gate source? Well, I suppose that we could always take another thing off the shifty. like this needs delay. Let's put it into a distinct delay here. Let's use B4 for the clockable delay. So we need to come out of rings into X for the audio input. Is the output. I need a clock. Let's take, I don't know what trigger 4 is actually doing out of vector right now, but let's see. Longer cable. Sometimes the square sounds like a clarinet. Oh, yeah, I could see that. Let's go out of this into QPass, because QPass is fun. Maybe Smile Pass? Let's use bandpass. Sure, okay. Gives it a little bit of movement. Maybe something to the rotate as well. Running out of cables pretty rapidly here. Just take a random value out from marbles. That's interesting sounding. Might be a little bit too much resonance, but I don't need this scope anymore, so I'll get a cable back. Yeah, I think that's better. The rings is providing a bit of that home base that I always talk about. It's got a constant pattern that it's going through, or a semi-constant pattern. You always land back on something that sounds interesting, and that, well, not that sounds interesting. I mean, but that has a sequence to it to some degree. So now, maybe, let's add this guy back in again, since we did that last time. It's fun to improvise on, to a degree. So maybe let's put it out through clouds. And we're gonna have to take only one channel of clouds back because we don't really have the room yet until I get a channels expander for another stereo channel. Getting signal? Yes, okay. Let's see what we're doing with clouds here. I think that we were already in looping delay mode, right? Take a variant. Something which I'm a little out of tune now too, but yeah, a little better. Maybe put clouds in its like stereotypical granular mode. Whoa. The dual sinus speed in the positive, I was thinking of a bridge rectifier like they used to make DC from AC. Yeah, I mean, if I used a rectifier, then I'd get just, that's used for just getting positive voltage, right, I think? It might need, yeah. I might need a more complex function generator with like the ZR that was mentioned earlier. I gotta see if I can make room for that on my eventual plans. That made some... The heck in mode is this in? Maybe I put too much feedback or something? Listen to this raw for a sec because I don't think that mode's going to work so well for what... I don't know what I'm trying to do, but I'm not trying to do that. Should have been Oh, maybe that wasn't that might have been the spectral mode. Let's see. Yeah, it totally was. That's why it didn't make any sense. This is the granular mode. Density, different texture. That's sort of more what I was thinking of. Okay. Strings in it too. I'm pretty much into. Let's try this other weird harmonics mode to see if we can get anything interesting sounding out of this. If I don't blow anyone's eardrums out. that's the extent of my guitar playing abilities. Right there. I wonder if I switch bridges, actually. I'll get into that. Once I get this simulator, then I think we will do more.